Thanks again for joining us. This year is a big one for women's football as Banyana Banyana finally look to defend their continental crown in Morocco in the month of July. So to talk about this, we've roped in head of women's football at Safa Dawn Lubisi to give us some analytic look rather at women's football and what's happening, with our South African structures as well. We just had a chat now off air about the weight and the responsibility that you're shouldering. So thank you for joining us with a nice big smile on your face. I think we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening with Banyana Banyana first, and then we'll look at the strategy. Sure. What camps have you lined up for them? What support structures have we put in place to make sure that they actually can defend that title?
You know, Coach Des is somebody who is very, very much focused. She knows exactly what it is that she wants to achieve. And we have left everything in her very, very much capable hands. So she is the perfect person for this job. She is literally making sure that the team is getting prepared and all of that. So that's all on her plate. Okay,
so I was going to ask you, who are they facing? Do we have any insight into that and just that run up there? But you want us to bring Coach Des in instead.
I would say speak with Des. Des is the mastermind behind Banyana Banyana.
So one of the things that we chatted about now is the juggling act. We develop these beautiful strategies, and on paper they look excellent, but implementing it is always the challenge. There's the financial implications. One of the things that I saw that I think strikes us quite strongly is the human resource impact. You need people to implement this strategy, and currently that's not the situation that you have.
That's very true. I think that's also why the strategy doesn't necessarily focus on having internal people basically implemented. We are looking to the communities as well to say, look, these are your girls, these are your teams. Come on, let's basically make it a community affair, and let's all help and try and pitch in making sure that this strategy is realized.
You want to make sure that talent pathways are there, development is there, but even if we just look at something like the Hollywood Superbets League, there haven't been consistent matches there. There's impacts, a huge impact on the professionalization of women's sport. Are all players in this league currently receiving a salary and are contracted?
You know, our women's league is not professional as yet. This is something that we are looking to do. Yes, there are some boxes that we need to tick in order for us to make sure that the league is professional. However, we are taking the steps towards heading in that direction. So our players, the strategy covers both our current players and people that we basically want to get into the football environment. So we are covering a whole range of things, and we are wanting sustainability at the end for the players, for the teams to say at the end of the day, I'm able to get a salary. What you call our teams in the Hollywood Bets, obviously they have resources. Some have vast resources, that some don't have resources, and it's just basically a matter of saying, how do we now highlight our teams that are currently in our league? How do you highlight our teams that are in the provincial leagues and so forth, moving down as well, saying to people, look at this product. It is a product. Sponsors, this is something that's basically going to help women's football grow. If you are looking at your team such as Mamelodi Sundowns, they are more capable. But if you go to Ezomvelo ladies who are recently promoted into the Hollywood Bets, it means that they need resources. They need to be supported in some form or another. And what we will be doing with the strategy is basically trying to capacitate some of our, not some of, but all of our teams in the Hollywood Bets, as well as the provincial leagues, regional leagues, and so forth, and basically making sure that they have the tools to go out there and say, look at me, this is what the team has.
How far off are we from full professionalization of women's football and of that specific league?
I think we are not that far off. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't think that we are far off. I would see us professionalizing women's football within the next 3-4 years. By the end of the strategy, hopefully they will have been professionalized, because like I said, we are taking steps to making sure that our teams are capacitated and everybody basically knows what professionalizing the game comes with, and they understand it's not just a matter of using the term professionalized, but what actually comes with it. So we are taking the steps towards heading in that direction.
And just some insight from a sponsorship perspective. I mean, you've had long-standing sponsors. You obviously are going to go on a sponsor hunt. Has there been increased interest? And what are sponsors requiring? Is it about making player profiles more well-known and adding maybe some glam element? And I use that word glam very strategically, because if we look at what's happening globally, that's what is needed to grow women's football, not so.
Yeah, definitely. I fully agree with you. We're not sure what sponsors want, or per personally am not sure what the sponsors were, but it's also a matter of, on our side, we are wanting to make sure that we put our brand out there, whether it's the Hollywood-based Super League or the teams themselves putting themselves out there, profiling their players, like you're saying, the glam, making sure that everybody feels like it's a community.
It's the spotlight element.
Precisely.
It's not just a glam word, talking about women. I'm just saying it's about making sure that young girls and young boys know the names of, many players, not just the more mature and well-known players.
Yeah.
How do we make sure that in your development structures and in your talent pathways that there is a clear path to, top flight football in South Africa?
Okay. Maybe I can answer that in two ways.
It's a compound question.
It's a very compound question. What the strategy hopes to do right now is basically highlight everything that is happening from your grassroots, everything that has to do with development. We want to make sure that we engage with our players and engage with the community. So basically, if we identify that 13-year-old or that 11-year-old, how do they come up?
Yeah.
Let's follow them and see where they end up. Our girls academy, we have girls in our academy, they are doing really well. Some of them have been to the national team and all of that. How do we basically make sure that the spotlight is on them? I think the strategy basically looks into that as well. Like I said, the community is a very, very, very big part of the strategy, to say we want football to belong to the community. We want the teams to have a sense of belonging to the community, because in that regard, it's basically a matter of saying, if these girls are ours, we're going to try and do everything to protect them.
What are the practical structures in place when you say it's, the community is looking at it? Are there scouts in place? Is it community clubs, and then that feeds into the bigger system? Just give us some insight into the practicalities of that.
Basically, all of what you have basically said, the thinking process behind it, that's basically what it is.
And are those currently in place, or is that still part of the strategy and now you've got to roll out?
Those are currently in place. However, it's just a matter of reinforcing, going back, making sure that we now put certain measures into place to make sure that we are able to monitor and evaluate and see the effectiveness of the different activities or strategies that we put in place, to see if they are actually effective.
Perfect. We've run out of time, but I know I have to ask you this question because it's your area of expertise. How are you supporting women from a technical perspective, the refereeing and all other technical elements of the game?
I think that my support comes in the form of being on everybody's neck. Being on everybody's neck. What are we doing? Are we actually reaching our goals for whatever targets that we have? The referees, the coaches, and all of that. Work very closely with the various departments. That's the one thing that I like about my department. It's not necessarily just women's football. You're able to go into competitions, refereeing, coaching, and all of that, and basically see what each department is doing, and you have that working relationship, and you get to say, okay, this is what we want to achieve for this season or for this year, and we basically just work together to make sure that we deliver a final product.
Fantastic. There's so much to discuss. Hopefully we can bring you back and get into some of the nitty-gritty of those practical elements that you're going to be implementing. But thank you so much for joining us on Morning Live Sport and chatting to us about your strategy and giving us some insight as to what's happening with Banyana Banyana. Obviously, they will be defending their WAFCON title come July in Morocco, and we were chatting to head of women's football, and that is Dawn Lubisi. So I mentioned earlier on that it was Tuesday, and it is not Tuesday, it is Wednesday. Leanne and Sakina reminded me we are halfway through the week, Stacey, and it's the Easter weekend. You get a chance, though, today to play in the National Lotto, and you stand a chance, rather, to win your share of 38 million rand. You can purchase your tickets online, you can purchase in-store and on the app as well. So good luck to everyone playing.